Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Speaks. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, we are going to get into some things this morning, all things Todd and Julie Chrisley. Many of you may have been following the case, the fraud case. I guess what do you listen, they got everything thrown at them. They going to prison. The feds on their tail, and y'all know feds is day for day time. So we're not going to even play about that. So we're going to get all up in their business today. I've been researching this, trying to just figure out where this all began because it goes back. And there's a lot. Y'all know when you start going through the courts, all your business start coming out. And you start learning some things about some people that make you say, and this case is no different. We got all the aspects of a Young and the Restless episode. So there is a lot going on with this case, and we're gonna get into it. And listen, Lindsie, let's talk about Lindsie, our estranged daughter, Todd's estranged daughter, Lindsie. Lindsie, like, listen, yeah, daddy, go ahead and do your time. I'm not messing with you or your wife. Bye. Like, don't call my phone, lose my number. So yeah, Lindsay's like, I can't. So we're gonna get into the background, the family drama surrounding the daughter Lindsie and why she don't rock with Todd and his wife Julie, because Lindsay's has a different mom. So Todd was once, married to another woman. Let me see. That was, let me see. I had her name because he's with Julie now. Who's Lindsay's mom? Lindsay's mom. Listen, I've been doing a lot of research with this case. But listen, Julie ain't Lindsay mama. Julie, like, that ain't my mama. So Todd was married, before, and then, he had two kids, and then he got with Julie, and then together they had three kids. So yeah, so it became I don't know, I guess you wouldn't call it a blended family because I don't see where, I don't think Julie had any kids prior to getting into the relationship. But we're gonna get into who Julie is, because Julie is not messing with Todd or his wife. I'm sorry, Lindsie is not messing with Todd or his wife, Julie. So let me share my screen so we can kind of learn more about Lindsie, because some people may not be familiar with her. I recently, just from researching this case, became familiar with Lindsie and, you know, where she lies as far as, within the family. So let me share my screen. Y'all know how I do over here. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe as you come on in. So let's make it do what it do. So you can see my screen. We have a picture of Lindsie and her father, Todd Chrisley. And we're going to get into what Lindsie has to say pertaining to the situation with her father and stepmother. Y'all, it's a whole mess. So y'all just get ready, get your popcorn ready, because it's a lot to it. And I'm probably going to try to break up my findings in probably multiple streams, because there's a lot. And, if you are familiar with Todd and Julie, you do know they've been raising their granddaughter. She's 10, Chloe. She's a mixed child, biracial. Her mother is Black. Of course, her father's white. And they pretty much had Chloe since she was like an infant. So, yes. So the question, I know I have, is like, wow, what happens to little Chloe? So I think I'm going to explore that on a separate live, because it's a lot, because they going back and forth. And then, Chloe do got a mama. So, but right now I want to touch on just what had happened. Why are these people going to jail? And why is their daughter, this woman right here on the screen, Lindsie, choosing to have no parts of them? From her words, like, forever. She's like, I'm not messing with them. I can't do it. So why? What had happened? Why does she feel this way about her parents. So let's get into it. Baby, hold on. Okay, so this is from MSN. Inside Todd Chrisley's daughter Lindsie's dark extortion accusations about soon-to-be incarcerated father over explicit tape. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I had to clutch my pearls over that, because I'm like, explicit tape? Like, what do you mean, explicit tape? So we finna get into it. This article was dated January 3rd. So let's get into it, y'all. I told y'all it was deep. So Todd and Julie Chrisley are heading to prison this month. But before they were convicted for a slew of fraud and tax evasion charges, the family's patriarch was allegedly blackmailing his oldest daughter with a sex tape if she didn't lie for him, accusations which Todd has denied. Listen, former Bachelorette hunk Robbie Hayes denied making a sex tape with the then married Lindsie Chrisley, saying the video was only canoodling on a couch captured on a puppy cam. Radar Online has learned. So he's like, listen, it was kind of innocent, but it wasn't no sex tape. It wasn't that deep. So the revelation came after the Chrisley's Knows Best stars were indicted on massive tax evasion charges, after which Todd accused Lindsie of hopping into the sack with Robbie and fellow Bachelorette beefcake Josh Murray. So he's like, okay, baby girl, she getting it in with with Robbie and Josh. Like he's basically out here saying his daughter was just doing the absolute most. This is from what father has to say about his daughter. After that, the angry offspring told cops her smooth-talking pops threatened to release a sex tape involving her and Robbie if she didn't lie for him. Child, not yes, I'm finna release all your business if you don't tell these folks what I need you to tell these folks. Yes. Robbie admitted he and Lindsie were smooching at a pal's pad, but didn't know they were being taped by a pet cam. Meanwhile, Lindsie insisted she never consented to a sex tape and will never forgive her father for his actions. Listen, so if all of that to be true, can you blame the woman? Like, think about it. Like, if you were recorded, and then now this is going off of what she's allegedly saying. If you feel like you were recorded, violated, and then that person, which happens to be your parent, says, well, if you don't do this, that, and the third, I'm going to release it. Is there any coming back from that? Like, do you still show up to dinner on Thanksgiving after that? Like, really? Like, what is the next conversation? Are we able to talk about the weather? Are we able to talk about what's for dinner? Like, where do you go with that? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments. Definitely, let your girl know, because I'm just getting through all this. So I'm phoning a friend, which is why I'm doing this live, because I would love to just hear what you have to say pertaining to this case, as I research and try to unfold things and just try my best to get an understanding of what happened. Because I remember when it was just, they were big on television, and I didn't never follow them, but many people in my family did. Like, they were super popular, so I was very familiar with them. I just didn't watch them, so I know how big they are. So this is major. So the article also goes on to say she reportedly went to the police after Todd and her half-brother Chase tried blackmailing her with the tape in a bid to cover up her father's federal tax evasion charges. At the time, her attorney said the claims were under investigation. The sex tape drama wasn't the only daddy-daughter dispute the two have had. Lindsie left the reality show in 2017 after another falling out with her father. After the sex tape allegations, Lindsie revealed she had no contact with her family. That, of course, has since changed ahead of their prison time. So she's like, listen, I haven't been talking to these people. So like, I ain't got no parts in that. quote, my parents regularly say that I believe let me see. She said, quote, my parents regularly say, and I believe they've said on their podcast as well, that at this time it's basically living every day like it's your last, enjoying the moment, spending time with their kids that are in Nashville. She revealed last month, adding, they are definitely dedicating their time in therapy and their biblical studies as well as with their children. Lindsie says she was going to spend time with her family after the holidays. So, quote, of course, I'm spending time with my parents over the phone because I also have shared custody with my ex-husband, William Campbell. So I don't have the luxury of being able to just pick up and go to Nashville and be there until January, she told People. Todd and Julie are checking into their separate prisons on January 17th. So today is the 14th, January 14th. So they're 3 days away from going to prison. So this is their last weekend. Yeah, this is their last weekend. Recently, they were seen out and about, having, final moments with get-togethers with, with family and friends and things, because they're going to be gone for a long time. And we're going to get into the details of the charges and the sentence and things like that, because it is quite serious. It's nothing light. Make sure my volume is good, but it is quite serious. It's nothing light. So we're going to touch on that because, like I said, there is they do have children. They still have some minor children, a minor child. I think their youngest child together, Julie and Chris, Todd's youngest child, is 16. So we're going to get into the breakdown of what had happened. What had happened. So let's hop over to where do I want to go with this? Because y'all, it's so many layers to this. We're going to even talk about the alleged affair that Todd had with a male former business associate. And Todd's like, listen, baby, the lies that were told. So we're going to get into it. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can kind of deep dive into this background of what's going on with the Chrisleys and these charges. So make sure you see my screen. Okay, so what went wrong for the parents of Chrisley knows best. See everything about Todd and Julie Chrisley from fraud to family. And it says, after flaunting their wealth on reality TV, Todd and Julie Chrisley were found guilty of defrauding banks out of $30 million. That's a lot of money. Despite branding themselves on their Southern values, the pair were allegedly engaged in a 15-year fraud spree, according to prosecutors, in which they defrauded banks out of $30 million in fraudulent loans. Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison and 16 months probation, while Julie was hit with a 7-year prison sentence and 16-month probation. So those aren't no light years. And as I've said, with Fed time, that's like a day for day. Like it ain't no, okay, good behavior, you can get out early, like we see with state sentences, where more often than not, the person ends up getting out early. They do maybe just about maybe half the time, but this isn't the case with them. Since it's Fed time, no, he gonna do all them 12 years and she gonna do all them 7 years, period. Still, the reality stars are claiming to be innocent as someone else was in charge of their finances. Who is in charge of the finances? So, quote, the Chrisleys have built an empire based on their lie that their wealth came from dedication and hard work, end of quote. Prosecutors wrote in a sentencing memo per Variety. Quote, the jury's unanimous verdict sets the record straight. Todd and Julie Chrisley are career swindlers who have made a living by jumping from one fraud scheme to another, lying to banks, stiffing vendors, and evading taxes at every corner. Wow. Now, those are some strong allegations. And listen, the jury was like, listen, they did it. They did all of that. Yeah, you need to do time. So who are Todd and Julie Chrisley? And what happened? What had happened was what happened, y'all. Y'all, we about to get into it again. As you're coming in, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, engage, comment. How do you feel? Let your girl know. What are your thoughts? Because right now I'm like, y'all did what and why? Like, let's get into it. Todd and Julie Chrisley first graced the small screen in 2014, featuring their brood of 6. Lindsie Chrisley, 33, Kyle Chrisley, 31, Chase Chrisley, 26, Savannah Chrisley, 25, Grayson, 16, and granddaughter Chloe, 10, whom they have full custody of. Now, with their Keeping Up with the Kardashians style show jam-packed with wholesome family hinks and country glamour, the family worked their way to reality TV fame with several spin-off business ventures like their Chrisley Confessions podcast. So I didn't even know until since this whole trial thing and sentencing thing that they even had, a podcast. So let me know if you're familiar with their podcast and if you've been able to tune in and listen to any of the things they've had to say, because I'm sure they've, made comments and things pertaining to this case, especially after the guilty verdict. Because at this point, listen, post-trial, you can talk, say whatever. You just kind of can't be loose lips, during the trial. But so right now, you can just say whatever, you can say, do whatever, write a book, whatever you want to do. That which leads me to a question I put out there on my socials. What happens to the empire? Will they still have money when they come home in 12 or 7 years, in a combined 19 years? So listen, it all makes a difference on how you set yourself, how you set yourself up in the earlier days, because if they set themselves up right, they should still have some money in the bank. But again, it's so much to say. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to, have a book and just talk about some things, because again, remember I say it's post-trial, so you can say whatever. But while the family patriarch told viewers he was a Georgia real estate tycoon raising his kids with the best of the best, prospectors claim he unlawfully acquired millions in evaded taxes during this time to fund their opulent lifestyle. Wow. According to prosecutors, the parents falsified documents to obtain over $30 million in bank loans, and they couldn't pay the loans back. They filed for bankruptcy in 2012 per People. After bankruptcy, Todd walked away with $20 million of the fraudulently obtained loans, which were spent on luxury cars, designer clothes, real estate, and travel. The Northern District of Georgia's U.S. Attorney's Office stated in the press release. So they was living it up. They was living it up. But, we always hear about, rich people, they file for bankruptcy all the time. We've all heard about how many times the Trumpster, have filed bankruptcy. That's just like what they do. So it's just like, okay, is everybody else not aware of the plug? Is that what you do? Because it seemed like the rich know what to do, and this is how they stay rich. They like, listen, I can't pay all that back, or I'm not going to pay all that back. So I'm going to go ahead, file bankruptcy under this name and start me a whole new entity. So listen, that's what they had said out there. So I don't know. So the article also goes on to say, additionally, they were accused of attempting to defraud the IRS after not filing taxes from 2013 to 2016. So that's a minute, with going without filing, taxes. How many times we also hear about the rich, and it coming up with them not paying taxes or not paying enough taxes. It's very common. But then also, when people are going to jail dealing with something pertaining to taxes, what did they more often than not look like? Do they look like the Chrisleys, or do they look like Leroy and Bankhead? So I'm just saying. So, sometimes, money can get you out of things. And in this situation, their money wasn't long enough to get them out of these Fed charges. So their accountant, Peter Tarantino, was convicted of filing false corporate tax returns on behalf of Julie's corporate bank account, which was formed to hide funds from the IRS at the same time as the Chrisleys. Tarantino was sentenced to 3 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release. So he got the bet. Listen, I guess, his sentence was lighter because he was just doing the filing. He wasn't the one kind of spending the money, getting, I guess, the most benefit. Of course, I'm sure, he was, that cash app was on swole, but, he got 3 years. So he still got to be sat down, but he's looking better than the Chrisleys. We'll just say that. And him ever thinking he can practice or be an accountant again, yeah, that's long. Listen, he's going to be a whole Uber, Lyft driver out here too, unless, as I say, the hustle is get you a book. So player might write him a book and just, tell his side of the story. We're going to see, how many books are going to be coming out pertaining to this situation, because there is a lot to be said. So if you got a story, you might, that's a way to kind of get your side out while also making a coin, especially when you ain't got no more money, because Tarantino money, I'm sure, wasn't looking nothing like the Chrisley's money. So when he come out, player probably finna be starting out at ground zero. Ground zero, like I said, Lyft, Uber, is that still gonna be a thing? He's finna have to get it how he lives. So I would not be surprised, like I said, if we do see some books, some tell-all books coming out in the next, I guess, 10 years. So we'll see. So the parents were indicted on federal tax evasion charges in 2019 per USA Today. But despite maintaining their innocence, they were found guilty after a jury trial in June. So they were like, listen, what had happened was, jury like, save it, you're guilty. Todd was convicted of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and tax fraud, while Julie was convicted of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., tax fraud, and wire fraud. So listen, y'all, that's Fed all day long. But I do hear Fed, if you go to prison, Fed is the one you kind of want to go to versus state, because people in Fed, they're not in there for like violent crimes. They in there for just hooking and crooking. So you not really in there with no sociopaths and things like that. So yes, it's day for day in there, but I can see why the actual experience would feel different than it would state, if you get what I'm saying. And if some of y'all been locked up, y'all can go ahead, type in the comments if the girl's on the right path with that comment. But I'm just gonna say, I don't know nobody who went on some Fed. People I know all state all day. So following their guilty verdict, they were released on their existing bond and were ordered to participate in a home detention program while they awaited sentencing. So they at least kind of got to be at home, do a little something with the family. Like I said, recently they've been seen out and about, loving and hugging on family and friends. They was out for the holidays. But the family, they're going through it as expected. They are going through it. Do you feel sorry for the Chrisleys? Do you listen? So where are Todd and Julie Chrisley now? And what does this mean for their family? Y'all, I asked the question, what happens to the Chrisley empire? Will the empire survive this? I hear daughter Savannah got her own little podcast too. So, that's good. She got that going on. Also, it's rumor also said that Savannah is going to have custody over her 16-year-old brother and the 10-year-old, I guess that would be her niece to the 10-year-old. That's Chloe. She's going to take over from there. So I think that's a good move, because when I heard about this, I'm like, what happens to Chloe? So my first thought was, I feel like Savannah probably should, because the little bit that I did see of the show, I picked up that she kind of was someone who kind of was on the right track, kind of had her head on her shoulder. Like she was more sharper than her brother. Let's just say that. So I was like, it made sense, for the kids to go and be underneath her care. So, after being hit with their lengthy prison sentences, Todd and Julie Chrisley are still claiming their innocence in the scandal. And according to their lawyer, Alex Little of Burr Informant LLP, they plan to fight the ruling. So you can't be mad at them. Like, if you got it, if you're able to fight it, why not? Like that, why not? So I'm not surprised at all. It's just a matter of, is the judge going to be here for you trying to do any appeals, all of that. So it's not looking good, but listen, the story will continue to fold. Quote, Todd and Julie are people of faith, and that faith gives them strength as they appeal their convictions, end of quote. The lawyer said in a statement on CNN, claiming the trial, quote, was married by serious and repeated errors, end of quote, and that, quote, we are optimistic about the road ahead, end of quote. So, despite their plans to appeal the judge's decision, they are expected to report to prison January 1st, 2023, according to the News Times. So, we do know, they are still, so this article is saying January 1st, but they are out. They're not in prison yet. So the 17th is actually when they're supposed to turn themselves in, then they'll be serving their sentences in the state of Florida. So yeah, the state of Florida, that's where they'll be. But it didn't say that in here. But like I said, y'all, I've been all over the place with researching this case. So it's probably going to be referenced in another article that I have to share. So in her parents' absence, daughter Savannah may be getting custody of the two Chrisley's minors, Grayson 16 and granddaughter Chloe, she said on her Unlocked podcast. So there we go. So Unlocked, y'all might want to maybe check that out, because I imagine she's going to be spilling a lot of tea pertaining to things, because her parents going to be sat down for a minute and Savannah's going to have to hold it down. And listen, I have no doubt Savannah's going to do that. I feel like even though with all these charges, it's that it wasn't, sometimes people, I don't know, sometimes I feel like people are biased maybe on supports that they may have on of a person that they like, depending on like what kind of charges they are, or like if they feel like it's that serious. And given that this is dealing with getting money and taking money from the government, from the rich taking from the rich, I guess. I mean, I guess I don't really feel like they probably lost their fan base from this. If anything, I feel like they probably kind of gained more followers, because they were like, word, hell, the government, they the one taking from us. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, their popularity is going to be there. And there's a possibility that Savannah can hold things down still with this family and still kind of have a focus on the family's brand. And especially, like, do y'all think, because I don't see why somebody maybe wouldn't give her a deal with her life, with her raising them, like, because she wasn't found guilty of anything. She didn't do anything wrong. So I can see, some, projects and things being developed centered around Savannah and her brother and her niece. I mean, what do y'all think? Because to me, why not? I mean, she have a lot to say. I don't know. I've never tuned into her podcast like her parents. I just learned she has a podcast. And Savannah, she's young. She's like, what, mid-20s, 24, 25. So she's a young adult. So that works for her. So I feel like she can kind of hold it down. So the children are reportedly struggling with the verdict, with Grayson, quote, handling this the worst, end of quote, a source told U.S. Sun. Just days before the sentence was announced, Grayson was involved in a car crash and was hospitalized for his injuries, but has since returned home. Wow. So that's news to me. I didn't know that he was in a car crash, but they say he's 16. So that sounds like he's a fairly new driver. I know here, in Georgia, typically you get your license as early as 16. So I'm glad to see that it wasn't anything serious, and he's, he's home. So that's a blessing, because listen, it's a lot already going on with this family. So children, we need to keep it together. Mom and daddy got enough going on. As for the fate of the family's TV show, Deadline reports that the show was canceled after 9 seasons and 2 guilty verdicts, in addition to their spinoff series, Growing Up Chrisley. However, NBC Universal has yet to officially confirm the news. So I didn't know there was like the spinoff of the Growing Up Chrisleys. So I wonder how it was. I imagine it probably still did pretty well. But yes, I didn't know they had, the spinoff. So what is this? This is so Todd posted, is this Twitter? Or is this Instagram? What is this? Is this the gram? Y'all, what are we looking at? So today on Chrisley's Confession, shining in your own light and giving credit where credit is due, as Mother's Day is approaching, Julie and I discuss our marriage and how each of us see our roles in the family. I describe the lessons I have learned from my mother and how it influenced me when looking for a wife. And Julie talks about the importance of supporting each other's dreams. So that sounds like a great topic. So what is Todd and Julie's Chrisley's net worth? So I want, remember, y'all, I'm like, what's happening to the money? That's what I want to know. Will these people still have something when they come back out, or will they be, driving Uber and Lyft too, like the account? So while the Chrisleys will be required to pay restitution, which will be determined at a later date, their reported net worths are only fractions of the millions they owe. So according to Celebrity Network, Todd has a net worth of $1.5 million. Additionally, he owns a a 30,000 square foot home and spent $300,000 a year on clothes. Julie also has a reported net worth of $1.5 million. So I'm taking it that he spent more on clothes than Julie did, because they didn't even say nothing about Julie's money spent on clothes. Todd's like, listen, baby. I got to look cute. I listen, $300,000. Yes. So I guess as it talks about, and I hadn't really thought about this before, but I guess there would be, monies that they got to pay back. So yeah, they're in the hole. They're definitely in the hole. I wonder what they be expected to pay back, like that full 30 million that they are accused of, or that they were found guilty of swindling from the government. Because that's a lot of money. Like, what can they do to get out of that kind of hole? So when they come out, like I said, I would really like to see if anybody, which I don't see why a network wouldn't want to kind of pick up a story with following them as they try to rebuild, because that's what's going to happen. These people are going to have to, they're going to have to rebuild. Period. So also, with that, let's talk about Braddock. This gentleman, let's see, what's his name? His name is Mark Braddock. Y'all heard that name before? I was hearing that there was a man that testified that he had a affair, indiscretions, whatever you want to call it, with Todd Chrisley, and basically he testified against Todd and just blew up the whole spot. Scorned lover type stuff, y'all. So I'm like, word? For real? What now? What he had said? So y'all, we about to get into what he had said, and he said a lot. So, but to be fair, we go listen to what Ty got to say, because he talking about the devil is a lie. The devil is a whole lie. But we finna get into these quote unquote lies that it's evident that the jurors believed. So let's get it. This is the Daily Mail. Again, thank you guys for joining. Please make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing as we continue to get into this tea. Baby, it's serious. So this is from the Daily Mail. Reality star Todd Chrisley had gay affair with business partner who helped him commit fraud. Trial here. Scorned lover tipped off feds to Chrisley's crime after fling ended. Y'all, I had the question. I'm like, what had happened? How did they get caught? You always wonder, like, when you hear people going down, you like, yo, how? Who blew up the spotlight? Like, how did it go down? Like, who said what? So listen, we get into it. So apparently Mark had a lot to say. He had a lot to say. So let's get into this. Todd Chrisley had a gay affair with his business partner who helped him commit fraud before tipping off cops after their romance went sour, a court has heard. The reality TV star 53 shacked up with Mark Braddock in the early 2000s before breaking it off, a judge in Atlanta was told. Braddock testified that after the affair ended, the pair stayed friends and formed a brotherhood. Okay. But it blew up in 2012 when Chrisley threw him out of his office and threatened to call the police on him, Insider reported. The TV star has been married for 26 years to Julie, with whom he shares 5 children: Lindsie 32, Kyle 30, Chase 25, Savannah 24, and Grayson 16. But remember, I told y'all his first 2 kids was from a previous relationship. So I guess I don't know if you call it a blended family, but these ain't Julie kids. The Lindsie and Kyle, they not Julie kids. But yes, that's the 5 kids that Todd has. Family picture. Braddock, who had to tell his own wife about the affair, so he was married too, y'all, before testifying, turned the Chrisleys into the FBI for tax fraud and told the jury on Tuesday he did not want to be talking about his affair. Braddock has also been granted immunity. So he like, listen, I'm just trying to give y'all what y'all need, but don't be trying to be all up in my bedroom. I ain't trying to talk about all that. I'm a whole married man. I had some indiscretions, but let's just talk about these fraud charges. Okay. Okay. After the affair ended, while Chrisley's former flame worked at Chrisley's asset management, he claimed an anonymous source sent text messages threatening to expose the relationship and his boss's fraud. So he like, listen, somebody was like, listen, I done seen y'all through the window shades. I've been lurking. I've been underneath the car. I know what shoes. I was in the bathroom stall. I know your shoes, Todd's shoes. I seen it all. So listen, I know what you did last summer. It's one of them kind of situations. The alleged text says, pay cash and we'll shut up. Now, if it went down like how Mark was saying it went down, they ain't trying to let that get out, especially Todd. Todd had probably like the most to lose. So Chrisley and Braddock ended up paying their blackmailer $38,000, which Braddock withdrew from the bank in 4 $9,500 payments before meeting Chrisley in a parking garage. Y'all, this stuff, y'all think they had, how you be seeing people wearing all black in the hood. Y'all think Todd was looking like that because, he say he spent a lot of money on his clothes. So y'all think he had on what kind of designer outfit in all black y'all think Todd was wearing, trying to look incognito as they try to go ahead and handle this situation, because they were in a whole situation in that parking garage. He handed over the large amounts of cash in a little bag for Chrisley to pay the blackmailer, he testified on Tuesday. So in a little bag, like they really like, listen, they had the little brown bag. They had, just like the movies, just like that Netflix movie you watched last week. This is how it was going down in that parking garage with the Chrisleys. Wow. Say it ain't so. After the Chrisleys were accused by the FBI of tax evasion, Braddock told juries his feelings for Chrisley convinced him to help them commit fraud. He testified. So y'all know, when you in love and stuff and boo thing, even though he's suspect, he wants you to help him do whatever. You like, okay, listen. Mark was like, listen, it was no different. That was my boo thing. He needed me to come through. So I was coming through, period. The former employee created fake tax documents for the reality star and submitted them to banks and impersonated Chrisley in emails and phone calls. He was real in love because he was doing the absolute most. At this point, player, where you even getting ran a coin, because remember, y'all wasn't even getting it in no more from what you said. Y'all had, y'all was like a brotherhood at this point. So you doing all this just because you got a crush at this point? I don't know. After the two had a falling out, Braddock reportedly wanted to get back at his former lover and created fake email accounts to report the Chrisleys' criminal behavior to government and news agencies. Wow. So listen, he became like a whole woman out here. Oh, okay, this is what you want to do to me. You don't want to take my calls, answer my text messages. Oh, okay. Well, you ain't finna be taking nobody calls or text messages because you finna damn be locked the hell up. Like, that's that energy, y'all. I just feel like this kind of was channeling through at that time through Mark. So Todd and his wife, here's some other pictures. Listen, in his opening statement, Chrisley's lawyer, Bruce Morrison, accused Braddock of thinking he was Todd Chrisley and had an obsession with him. So y'all think it was an obsession here? Like, or, I mean, the way he started moving after, I guess, quote, if supposedly, allegedly, Todd was rejecting him. I don't know. Is it obsession? Is it scorned lover? Like, what do because to me, he was giving to me scorn, my feelings hurt. I'm about to get yeah, all that energy that a lot of times we get, women give to that man when she feel like he did her wrong. I'm gonna bust your windows type energy. That's more so kind of what I was, that energy I'm pulling from Braddock. And I'm gonna bust your windows energy. I don't know if that's necessarily the same as obsession energy, because I feel like the obsession part, you trying to do good things, and trying to stay in the good graces person. But like at this point, I don't know. He was giving me just scorned lover. I'm gonna put sugar in your gas tank type vibes. So Braddock has denied these claims. He also said the only time he'd been with a man was with Chrisley. Now, y'all believe that? I don't know, but listen, he's saying Chrisley was his first. Chrisley had publicly addressed rumors about his sexuality in 2017, telling the Dominic Naughty Show that the rumors didn't bother him. So I've heard, a lot of people assume that, he went that way, but then they learn, okay, he got a whole family out here, all these kids, and they like, what? They like confused. So listen, I had never heard any like confirmations of, if he engaged in that type, but I do know, the question mark has been there. So he didn't deny claims he is gay. In order for so it says, in order for it to disappoint me, it would mean that I don't agree with someone being gay. I don't believe that's a choice that you make. I believe that you are the way that God has made you, he said on the show at the time. I'm flattered that people think I can get laid on both ends, so that doesn't bother me. And my wife certainly is flattered that as many men want her husband as there are women. With that being said, I'm never going to have a drought. You, on the other hand, might, but Todd will never have a drought. Wow. Never heard it put that way, but okay, sir. The Chrisleys are currently on trial on charges of fraud and evading $2 million in tax fraud. Yeah. So this is Peter. This is the accountant right here on my screen. And like I said, he got 3 years? Yeah. I lost my article, y'all. I clicked out of it by accident, but he got Mark got like 3 years. So he's sitting better than Julie and Todd are, but he's still going to jail. So remember, Todd's like the lies. So let's get into Todd's response to the allegations of him having an affair with Mark Braddock. Make sure y'all good. You can see my screen. Listen, we finna get into it because Todd coming out swinging. He coming out swinging. So page 6 reports Todd Chrisley blasts claims he's gay, had an affair with former business. So he's gay, had an affair with former business associate. He's a toad. I was like, okay, that's an interesting choice of word, toad. Okay. So what Todd has said, Todd Chrisley has shut down claims he's gay and that he enjoyed a passionate affair with his former business associate, Mark Braddock. The Chrisley Knows Best star, who is imminently due to report to a Florida prison for his 12-year sentence, put an end to the allegations of a gay affair between the two. Appearing on his Chrisley Confessions podcast Tuesday with his son, Chase Chrisley, 26, Todd took a moment to address Braddock's claim that intimate relations took place between them in the early 2000s. Please tell. Please tell. So listen, he's like, what insulted me the most is that out of all these 54 years, for me to finally be accused of being with a man, it would be someone who looked like Mark Braddock. Child. The 53-year-old said of his former business partner who testified about their alleged fling during the trial in November. Okay. Todd Chrisley, who was sentenced to a combined 19 years in prison with his wife, Julie Chrisley, for fraud and tax evasion, took aim at Braddock's appearance, calling him a toad and someone that looks like a thumb. So let's scroll down. Do he look like a thumb, y'all? Okay, let me try to stay focused. Someone who says he's only had sex with his wife and me, he added. Todd Chrisley noted that Braddock's story seemingly changed several times in the last few months. Really? He says, I guess he's trying to say, you tell something. I guess he's trying to say, let me tell you something. I could understand if you'd had sex with me, it would make you crazy. I get that he quit. There have been many who have been, I think he was trying to say demonetized by your daddy, Lord Jesus. So he was like, listen, I understand that you get excited by your boy, but you could never. He also says, I ain't that small spoon at Baskin Robbins. I'm the whole scoop. You don't get to just sample here, Todd Chrisley continued, before adding that he would be less embarrassed if George Clooney or Brad Pitt made the allegations instead of Braddock, who landed a job with Todd in 2005. So he was like, listen, y'all don't disrespect me like that. I can do way better than this, y'all. This the man he's saying look like a thumb. Are y'all seeing the resemblance of a thumb? Like, let me know. Do you see the thumb? So he was like, y'all don't do me like that. Do not do me like that. He says, this is one thing that is the most insulting. To say that I couldn't pull something better than that, there's better to be had by Todd Chrisley than that, he said. It's like I can hear him saying it too, y'all. During the November trial, Braddock claimed their alleged affair lasted for about a year. After it ended, Braddock said the two men continued a friendship until 2012 that he likened to a brotherhood. During that time, Braddock worked at Todd's foreclosure management company, Chrisley's Asset Management, and he testified that they began to receive anonymous texts threatening to expose them for fraud and alleged dalliance. Y'all, I told y'all it was a lot. I told y'all it was a lot. I wonder, how many people kind of believed, because we know the jury clearly, they were here for whatever Mark said or whatever, Todd was found guilty. But just in the eyes of the public, with Mark, I wonder, did people believe his story about their affair? Because again, even Todd is on record with acknowledging that people have accused him of being gay, but no one had ever actually linked him to anyone. So this was like the first time he'd been linked to someone. But I don't know, where I'm from, and you hear the term metrosexual. So it's like, okay, that's kind of like a man who's, he's heterosexual, but, he just like to get the little eyebrows arched, stay, lined up, keep the haircut, keep the clothes, I guess had that $300,000 budget for the clothes, they call it metrosexual. They just really into themselves more so than possibly the woman that they're on the side of. So is this a case of Todd just being a metrosexual, or are people feeling like, okay, well, I don't care, if he, is gay, but I believe that he is, or at least bi. Like, I don't know. Y'all gonna have to talk to me. Let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts? Because I never followed Todd, but I was aware of who he is. So I seen, with his mannerism, he had with a lot of, the girls like to call sass. He's very sassy. But, I did see him with his whole wife and his family or whatever, which, a lot of times means nothing. People live a life, have multiple situations going on. Listen, it's your business. So I don't know. But this man came out and was like, yo, like, if he wasn't nothing else, he was bi, because, me and him were, getting it on for like a whole year. So it is what it is. So it's a lot. That's the case with that. Like I said, they are They're turning themselves in. They did, have a meal and things, with family and friends. And Chris, I'm gonna share my screen. Chris posted, I'm sorry, Todd posted something because he seems to be, a pretty spiritual kind of guy. And, he's trying to, I guess, stay positive with everything that's going on. So he posted this. Make sure you all can see. Okay, so you're good. Let's see. What did he post? Let me see. I have so many tabs open with all this information because it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. He posted, God doesn't give us what we can handle. God helps us handle what we are given. So I was like, wow, okay. That's different because I've used to hearing, oh, God doesn't give us more than what we can't handle. But he's like, no, God doesn't give us what we can handle. God helps us handle what we are given. That is a true statement. That's a true statement. So he's working, he's working through everything, with his family, which is good. And he's just got to stay strong. I feel like, he's going to get through it. He's going to get through it. When he come out of it, it's going to be a lot to be said. So what they say, 12 years. So we're in 23, 33, 34, 35. So what, in 2035 is when he'll be coming home? Like, wow, like 12 years. Like, what do you guys think you're going to be in 12 years when you're watching, Todd, walk out of the prison? Y'all know them cameras and everything gonna be there. It's gonna be a whole broadcast. Y'all know how to go. And sooner than that, with the wife walking out in 7. So that's going to be 3, 4, 10, and 40. Let me see, 2030. So y'all know those cameras are going to be there. It's going to be a lot to be said. But to me, if they got that hefty bill that they're going to have to be paying back, they're going to have to be strategic with ways of how they're going to make money, because they got bills to pay, they gonna have bills to pay. They gonna look, I guess they in a worse situation. At least Tasha K only owe Cardi B $4 million. Like, they owe what, if they got to pay back that, what they said they would defrauded the government by like what, 30 million. So my thoughts is them having to pay back that. I don't know, but yeah, they're going to definitely have to get to work. So I have no doubt, they're going to be able to, rebrand themselves in a way to where they'll be able to capitalize off of their name. And, people are going to be here for what they have to say about just their past life in prison. That people tend to find it interesting when people, when people who have gone to prison and jail, when they tell their stories, people tend to be intrigued by the things that goes on behind bars. It's like, I don't want to be there, but I'm here to listen to what you're saying popping off behind bars. So I think they're going to definitely have a lot to say, but they're going to have to figure out a way of how they're going to have to, how they go make money off of it. They ain't going to be in a situation and just be talking, doing anything for free. They're going to have to eat, because like I said, otherwise, if Uber or Lyft's still around, Uber Eats, that they're going to have to resort to that because they're going to have bills to pay. All the kids will be grown. The grandbaby will be grown. It's just going to be them. So Julie and Todd are just going to have to figure out what making it do what it do truly means for them. It's going to be interesting, but I do thank you guys for showing up. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you feel like, yes, the sentence was right? The feds got it right. They, Todd and Chrissy, Todd and Julie, they were wrong. They should have been set down. They defrauded the government. The rich just trying to get richer. Like, do you feel like the verdict, the 19-year combined sentence was correct? Or are you like, no, the government, they was doing too much. It didn't need to be all of that. People do stuff like this all the time. And the legal system was just doing the most in this situation. I don't know. Y'all let me know. But like I said, they do got a whole, granddaughter out here, Chloe, and the mama's like, yo, yeah, I'm getting my child back. Y'all finna be gone. Y'all morals ain't no better than mine. Y'all doing the most, like y'all saying I be out here doing the most. So you're not better than me. You just defrauded government to have the monies you had and I didn't, you know. So like I said, I may come back and do a separate live on that, just talking about just the aspect of Chloe, the grandbaby, like what happens with her. Where does she go from here? Angela, Chloe's mom, like what's the next steps for her with regaining custody, full custody of her daughter, who she claims that the Chrisleys have kept her away from. So that's what I got, y'all. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. So until the next broadcast, peace.